Welcome back to another Take 5. This is Stand on Guard with David Creighton on the Creighton's Right channel. And we've got a great show for you today. And it's all about how sometimes we're not sure whether the message was intentional or just plain mistaken. But we're going to find out more of that in a minute as we watch a video. We're also going to be looking at fascinating new film that just came out by Mickey Willis. And this is part 3 of his examination of how the COVID-19 pandemic affected individual freedoms and what might be behind all of those government machinations. And we're going to be looking at the Great Reset and who actually talked about the Great Reset. Is it just some sort of crazy conspiracy theory? Or are the elites at the World Economic Forum actually using that phrase? Let's find out if that's true. I want to start with a great video here. I just saw this yesterday.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
What did she say?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
All right, you could see that was clearly originally in the script. Now, was that a mistake? Or was that just taken out afterwards? I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you. But there's been a lot of talk today about this being disinformation and misinformation, or it's just simply not true that she actually said this. Clearly, she said it. Whether she was supposed to say it or not, I'll leave that up to you. But there's something very suspicious about this, because the corrected copy did not replace the word. It just put a line through it. That's very unusual. Having worked in government in the past, I can tell you that when the right script comes out, it doesn't look like that, as you just saw. So there's something going on here. But it's clearly President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are very concerned about selling their creed, which is climate change. And what really surprised me about this video is how not only did Kamala Harris just blithely repeat this line that she had read without apparently even thinking about what she was saying, the audience cheered and clapped. Does this mean that they support the depopulation of the United States and the world because it's going to somehow make it a better place to live in? What's exactly going on here? I find this very, very suspicious, because there have been other regimes in the past that have tried to depopulate. And the only way to do that is through very severe means. And all we have to do is look at totalitarian regimes across history and around the world. Communist China, the Soviet Russia. So it's very important we consider this. But as I said at the offset, you talk about the Great Reset, and some people think you're talking conspiracy theories. But you know what?
You are the pioneers, the entrepreneurs, the disruptors.
This is Professor Klaus Schwab. He's the founder and head of the World Economic Forum. And he's the guy that likes to talk about the Great Reset all the time, along with a lot of other world leaders, including Canada's Justin Trudeau. But let's listen to Professor Schwab.
And the creators who are shaping the new frontiers of human progress. You are also the stakeholders who have a strong responsibility to ensure that innovation serves humanity and not the other way around. And not the other way around.
Now, this is quite fascinating because the text that comes up on here incorrectly heard Klaus Schwab say Nazi. And yes, he didn't say Nazi, but it's almost like there's a hidden subtext here because Klaus Schwab is clearly pushing for a totalitarian collectivist agenda around the world. He makes that quite clear. He's the one that talks about the Great Reset all the time, and we'll see proof of that later. He's the one that talks about the Great Reset because he wants to, and he argued to use the COVID-19 pandemic as an opportunity to transform the world. But it's quite frightening what he wants to transform it into because we're going to be left with nothing. And don't you think the privileged elite at Davos, Switzerland are going to be left with nothing? They're the ones dictating the terms.
When China adopted new COVID control measures and started to boost economic development, social dynamism, and international cooperation.
Yeah, that's illustrates exactly what the social dynamism was in China. The police were beating people up, detaining them, shutting them into apartment buildings where they couldn't leave the room, and putting them in detainment re-education camps. So that's what China was doing to contain the COVID-19 virus. So those are the pictures that illustrate what Klaus Schwab is actually describing.
Creating new urban areas to address land scarcity. China has made remarkable achievements in economy, in social development, in diplomacy, and in many other areas. The Forum, with its over 40 years of friendly and extensive partnership with China, today the second largest economy in the world, will continue to fight fragmentation where nations have to work together for the collective well-being.
Yes, we all have to work together for that collective well-being. And if that means becoming more like China, well, that's part of the globalist plan, isn't it? But this is quite fascinating because Schwab is being quite candid in his design and what he really wants for the world. And that's a very, very frightening prospect.
For humanity.
Now, this is a synopsis that we're going to play for you from a new video production from Mickey Willis. And this is part 3 of his exploration into how the COVID-19 pandemic was used, how the elites of the world used, how the governments of the world used this pandemic to further their objectives, which was to create less freedom for individuals and more latitude for the state. And clearly, as we said, who's talking about the Great Reset? It's right there on the screen. It's the WEF who talks about the Great Reset.
2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset.
We need a great reset. China has made significant economic and social achievements under your leadership.
China's influence on global affairs is growing. The founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, says that this is what motivated the group this year to invite President Xi Jinping to deliver the keynote address in Davos.
Schwab said Xi's presence was a sign of the shift from a unipolar world dominated by the United States to a more multipolar system in which rising powers like China will have a step up and play a bigger role.
I think it's a role model for many countries, but we have to go one step further. It's a systemic transformation of the world.
The level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them.
I wish we had heard a few more lines from Prime Minister Trudeau. This is from the infamous incident long before he was Prime Minister. He was just a Liberal leader. He wasn't even an official opposition leader yet. And he's at a Liberal fundraiser in Montreal, and he's asked, as part of the question and answer session, what countries does he most admire? He immediately says China because it's a basic dictatorship. And, quote, it can turn its economy around on a dime. So that said everything about the way Trudeau thinks. He likes totalitarian governments that can order people to do things quickly. And that's, in many ways, how he has run his own government. When he feels threatened by the people, he comes down hard with authoritarian measures. Witness the Freedom Convoy and the invocation of the Emergencies Act. But this is this coming scene. This is from Joe Biden when he was in Canada visiting, and he's addressing the House of Commons.
I applaud China for stepping up. I applaud Canada. You can tell what I'm thinking.
A prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship.
It's almost as if they all attended the same school of thought and studied under the same professor.
Can you imagine parading around in this Darth Vader outfit?
People would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings. And we will win this fight.
Well, who is he? The high priest of Satanism? This is absolutely thought-provoking.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world, or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way. Names in the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Miss Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names, Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leana Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds. And of course,
Now who could
Yes, the usual suspects, the itinerant globalist liberals who were there.
represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
And there he is, Justin Trudeau rising. So there you have it. If we talk about the Great Reset, it's not because somebody else didn't start talking about it first. And Klaus Schwab never tires about talking about the Great Reset, nor does Justin Trudeau. And you can see the two of them very comfortable with each other, very much in tune with each other. So watch this video carefully, because this is where the world is going incrementally. This is why a lot of things are happening right now that are happening, including marching towards a war with Ukraine, marching towards international famine, because somebody wants to create the crisis that they can control, they can exploit. Because for them, just like COVID-19, that's an opportunity. Disaster, catastrophe is an opportunity for these global elites, and they won't hesitate to use that opportunity. Thanks for watching. Thanks for viewing. Please hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell. It means a lot to a small station like this to have your support, and we thank you in advance for it. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you today. Until next time, I'm David Creighton.